Hey guys, it's Marta. Welcome. Today I wanted to hop with you on an episode that will be Q&A. You asked the questions and I'm really happy to answer them. So let's grab a cup of coffee and let's talk. First question was, so am I ready for the fall decorations? Last week in Poland was really hot, so I wasn't thinking about the fall decorations at all. I still felt like it was summer and I didn't feel like I didn't even have any inspirations, but we got a change in the weather. It became colder. As you can hear, I even got a cold a few days ago. So as I was drinking my coffee and feeling the cold, I felt the urge to do some fall decorations. So hopefully next week, when I will be feeling a bit better, I will run to my gardening center that is really near my place, and I will buy some heathers and maybe some colorful other plants, and I will start decorating. I still have a lot of annuals that look really good, and I think I will just mix them with the new ones and we'll get something else, but we'll still use those that look really good. So hopefully that will be in the next videos. I finally can say I cannot wait. How did you start gardening? Did you have any training? No, I loved plants and I loved nature since I was a kid. I loved running around the garden of my grandmother and playing with the petals, playing some magical fun things I was just imagining in my head, but interacting with the birds and the bees and thinking about creative ways I could express myself through those plants. So that was my childhood, but I really did not like the maintenance of the garden. If someone told me to weed something or to pick up fruit, I did not like it at all. And I think it's still true to this day. I really love the creative process of anything. Creative is my my first name, really. I really love doing new things, learning about them, and then creating something of my own. So when I was almost 30, we built this house, and first the garden was, I was treating it like a house, so I wanted it to look pretty, to be green, so my daughter could play in it. And my main idea was to create a space for her that I had when I was a kid. So I was thinking we need some strawberries, so she will pick a strawberry like me when I was a kid. We'll need some space for her to play and for those fun moments to be creative. And then I wanted some spaces that would look like something in the house. So I was looking for inspirations of what I would like, and in that moment in my life I really liked Japanese gardens, so I like Japanese maples, I liked grasses, ornamental grasses, and some of the structures so that I really liked in the pictures, and I made them in my garden, and then I was crushed with the experience of the Polish winters that are very harsh, and some of the structures that we built would fall off. And then I would plant some plants, some would thrive, some wouldn't. So that made me seek more knowledge about the plants, and through the years I was learning more and more and experiencing more. And this is what I like to do with my life, getting the most knowledge I can, discussing with other people what are their experiences, then making my own experiences and then trying what works for me. And then I had a breakthrough moment in my life. I had a spine injury and a spine operation, and I was forced to stay in bed for 3 months. I really needed to be still, and then I could move a bit, but I wasn't allowed to do a lot of things that I did before. And I had a lot of time, and I am a very moving person, so that was very difficult for me. And then I was thinking that if I have a project and I have an idea that I would grow and I would learn, that would occupy me and I wouldn't go mad. So I had this project that I wanted to change my garden into an English garden. And I spent those few months learning, seeking inspiration from whatever source I could through my laptop and through books. And I think I would see the Amazon delivery every few days. And I would read so much and watch so much of the inspiration. And that is the main part that I gained my knowledge. And then after I was told that I can go into the garden and experience that, I also had this epiphany what things are important in life and what I really want to do, and interacting with nature, with my plants, and creating a beautiful space, not only for me, but also for the birds and bees, was such a delight that I really tried to work with that, and that gave me some kind of new inspiration for the way I want to live my life. So that is how it all started, and this is why I garden. But the training was the training I did for myself, and I sought knowledge in all of the possible outlets I could find, and it really worked for me. How big is your garden? So I always, when I hear people talking about my garden, some people think it's smaller and some people think it's bigger. I think it's a middle-sized garden. It's 1,600 square meters. This is the whole garden and the house is part of it. So the house is like 200 square meters, the amount of the land that it takes, and then we have some kind of paths and stuff like that. So the garden is not that big, but I wanted to create it in a way that it has like rooms, like in a house. So when you go into other parts of the garden, you will feel like you're entering another different world. So that was my idea of the garden. At first it did not look like that, and I started changing it and dividing it to some kind of structures, some kind of plants that make this effect, and I really like it. And I think I would do the same if I had to build another garden, because I think our eye needs something interesting, and if you see a door and when you cross it, it's something else, it's just interesting. So that's why I think my garden seems bigger in the videos that it is. What is your Polish channel name, and how did you start with making a YouTube channel? So I used to be always into creative things. As a kid, I would be creative in all kinds of outlets. Like I would paint, I would perform singing, I would perform with poetry, I would perform with theater. Then I would always like to do things that included a creative process and learning. This is, for me, it's always intermingled. For some people maybe it's not, but for me this is how I rule, and that was it. Then when I was older, I got into photography, and I worked for a lot of years as a photographer. I would photograph families, children, weddings, different things than food. So everything that excited me. I really love the connections between people. When I photographed them, I wanted to show their natural state, not like a post pictures, but I always loved the candid pictures showing like interactions between people, and the more natural they looked, the better, which is not easy, because sometimes when you're a photographer, you also need to be some kind of like, you need to go into the psychotherapy kind of, because people are always so anxious because of the photos. They are always anxious that they will not look good, so it's very difficult to make them act natural. So that was also a nice experience. And then I would go into different creative endeavors that were not my job, but it was also like designing my garden, designing my house, and then creating food that I loved, because I was always into cooking. And then this made me make my blog, and this blog was in English and in Polish, and for years I was writing about the food, the garden, the travels that we made, and maybe something else, maybe photography. That was always intermingled. Everything that fascinated me went into the blog. That was before social media, so that's really a long time ago. And then I started with Instagram. I started sharing my passions. I started taking people on strolls through my garden, through my challenges, through my successes of how I do things, and a lot of people loved it. And I liked those short videos with stories, but my big dream was to make like beautiful gardener's world like videos when I would talk about the plants and talk about my passion, because I know that when I talk and I'm on video, you can see the passion more than when I write about it. So that was my biggest dream. And I wasn't sure how to approach it, because you cannot do it alone. You can, but it's difficult. And then the pandemic came, and my husband said, maybe we'll try together. So we started working on those videos as a team. We started recording them. It was not easy at first, because I wasn't sure how I wanted it to look like, but it was a nice collaboration. He's standing there, he's smiling. It was a lovely collaboration between the two of us, and I think it was the best outlet for my creativity at that moment. And because it was the pandemic, a lot of people were stuck at home, and they rediscovered their gardens for that time, because they did not have anything else to do, or they just look at their gardens in a different way, and they were searching for information. And somehow, I don't know, maybe it was the information, maybe it was my passion, but they found the passion in their gardens. So this is how the channel grew, and it grew really, really fast during the pandemic. And then after some time, I really got a lot of questions from people. Well, yeah, I watch your channel, but it's we made some subtitles. Polish language is really difficult, and YouTube does not give you the automatic subtitles for other languages. So if we wanted to make subtitles in English for Polish, we had to type them by hand, which took like 4 to 5 hours for one video. That was a lot. And we thought that maybe it would be better to make a channel in English. So this is what we did. So now we have 2 channels, and I'm really hoping to give my passion to people in other countries, and hopefully they will also feel the spark of joy, and it will make them create something. That is always my biggest goal. And the name of the channel, because that was the main question, is called Marta Potoczek Leniwa Niedziela. Leniwa means lazy, and Niedziela means Sunday. So we thought it would be funny to, because the name of the blog was Lazy Sunday, and we thought it would be funny to post our videos on Sundays when we talked about the jobs you need to be doing in the garden. So we always get this, haha, very funny. You always talk how much your channel is called Lazy Sunday, and you talk how much work needs to be done. So that was a joke, but this is how it stayed. And we used to make 3 videos a week. We downsized after some time. We have now 2 videos a week, and sometimes in the summer we have only 1, so we can get some relaxation during that time. But if you want to check it out, some of the older videos are with English subtitles, so you can still watch them. And sometimes maybe it's nice inspiration. We have some videos that go through like 4 seasons only with music, so it's also fun to watch. So I will link that channel in the description, and I will see if I can link it also here on the upper side. We'll see. Did you grow up gardening as a child, and what made you love plants, and what is gardening to you? So I think I touched on how I was a kid, and I really loved plants as a part of my creative process, and I think that also is true now. I think of gardening like painting pictures, but painting pictures with living organisms. So I will have an idea of how I want a space to look and what vibe it has to have. I was always good with colors, so I always felt which colors feel right. Well, they feel right for me. It doesn't have to be for someone else. But whenever I create something, I never create for anyone else but for me. And sometimes just people will like it and they will get inspired, and maybe they won't. It's fine with me. With whatever creative process, I want it to be true to me, to be authentic. So that is true with gardening, but also you create something, you think of something, then you try with your knowledge and with this idea that you have, and you paint this picture of a border, and then you have to wait, and you have to wait for results. You need to give the plants time, so you need to be patient, and then you can see if the results are what you wanted. Sometimes you will be surprised, but it can be a nice surprise or a bad surprise, but Also, even if it's something bad, it won't work. It still will teach you something, and I think we don't really learn from our successes. I think we learn most from our mistakes. So I think it's also a nice learning curve. So this is what I love. I love the process. I don't like the maintenance part of the gardening. I do it because I want my plants to be happy. But if I was to choose to do one thing for the rest of my life, I would just create. I would make something new, and I would just always make it authentic to myself. That is the. It gives me such a good, itch. It fills me with like light and joy and happiness. So this is what I really love to do. And then when you watch your garden grow, it's like with children, you made it and you let it thrive and you help it thrive. And then you see all of the nature interacting with your garden. So the birds will come, you will see like the little bugs. Sometimes they are not that nice, but like the nice ones, they come, they look very happy in something you've created. So it gives you like nice gratitude moment for yourself. So this is what I love about gardening. And with plants, it really depends. I always get asked if I have favorite plants. Some of them are my favorites, some varieties, but I just like looking at it as a whole. And sometimes I will have a month that some kind of plant speaks to me more, and another month I will be in awe with another. And I really love that. And I really love that about life itself, so that you can be in awe of different things, and they influence you, and they give you something good inside, and they make you create even more. So this is what I really love about gardening. Okay, another question is, do you have favorite plants? So if I was in spring, I love the first flowers. So when crocuses come up and they give you those first flowers, I am always in such longing for spring that I love crocuses. My favorite is pickwick. Then you will get tulips. I always plant so many of them, and with them there is this part that I always remember when I was before my operation, and I was so afraid something will happen to me, and I was in such anxiety that it was in the fall, and I was planting tulips, and every day I would go to the shop knowing that my operation was postponed like 2 days, 3 days, and I would buy more bulbs and I would plant them like crazy. And I remember this moment because I want to remember this moment that I was touching the plants and I was afraid something will happen. I will never feel a plant again. So tulips always remind me of this moment in my life, of what's important, that being healthy is really important. So I really love them for that. And I love them for their beauty, for how they inspired people through the history, through the paintings, the Dutch paintings with the tulips. They are so rich, and I really love them. And they also remind me of being patient in the garden. The tulips are those bulbs that something can really go wrong, like something will eat them, they will get rot, and I'm trying to be very positive about them. But when they appear en masse, it's like the spring has come. So I really love them then. And then we go into the time when everything bursts, like June. I love June and I love the vibe of June, but I love my alliums, I love all of the perennials, I love those fresh colors of plants. They are so vibrant, so healthy. So June is like, the vibe of June is something I love, and every plant gives me like, everything is so beautiful, but there are so many of them. I cannot focus on one. And then we get the roses, and I can really enjoy them. Then I also love the plants that I grow from seed, because you can see this tiny seed, you put it in the ground and you can see the whole process of this plant like growing and becoming something big and huge. It can be a tomato, give you the fruit. It can be a beautiful flower that you can gather, and like the bees will come, they will use it, then you will bring some of the flowers to your home and they give you joy. So it's also a nice process that you can watch from the tiny seed, and then the plant will die out, and it's like the process, you can watch it. And then you have the end of the season, and I really love how the leaves turn. You get all those beautiful autumn colors, and they remind you of all of those blankets and teas, and you can look at those. And then I cherish those that flower then. So I really love the dahlias. I really love watching the colors of the flowers turn. So as you can see, and I love all the annuals that give you so much energy, so many flowers through the season. They come from May until the frosts come. So I love them because they are so resilient and they are such overachievers. They produce so much flowers. So it's hard to choose a favorite plant. I love the variety. This is what I love in humankind, that we can all be different, and we all, in some moment, we have something beautiful in us, and we have those also the bad moments, and you can always find something good in everyone, and it's the same with plants. So I really love the diversity. What advice would you give to someone just starting out with their own garden? The main thing would be to search what you want. What is the vibe of your garden you would like to have? Like, search for images of gardens and see what resonates with you. I always think that when we choose things, they should resonate with us. They should feel connected to the way we are. They should bring us joy. When we look at them, we feel this itch that it's something for us. So I would start with that. Then I would think, what do we really need in the garden? So if you have kids, maybe you need some space for the kids. Do you want to grow vegetables or not? Do you want to try just a bit at first? Or maybe you are sure that you want to grow vegetables. What kind of flowers do you have? Do you want to have? And what speaks to you in terms of plants? Because the vibe is something, and then you will see which plants speak to you. Then it's good to, like, this is the vibe you want. And then it's time to assess if we can go into all of that. So you need to know how much time you can spend in the garden. Can you hire help if you don't have that much time? How much funds do you have to have this kind of garden? And then try be really realistic, and then even take a bit out, because if you're a positive person, because I'm always optimistic, I'm like, I will do it, I have a lot of time, and then I am crushed by the amount of things that need to be done. So that is also a good thing to do. And then I would say, learn a lot about the plants you chose and learn a lot about the plot you are in. So assess what kind of soil you have, what kind of lighting you have, and learn about the plants and if they will fit in the space you live in. So this is the good moment to start. And then from that, always good to get advice from people that you see that are succeeding in this type of thing. So like in gardening, it's good to watch videos, read books, and talk to other people that garden. And then try. You will get burned, you will make mistakes, but as I said before, I don't think we learn from our successes. I think we learn from our mistakes, but it's good to learn before so we don't make that many. So hopefully that helped. You have such great eye for designs. Do you have any professional training? I would say I always had a good eye for design, for color. That is something I think maybe I wasn't born into it, but I was always interested in. So I was always searching for a lot of inspiration, and I would always have my attention on details of why things worked, and I always was thinking about it, why things work. So I think somewhere in my brain I have a lot of things that work, and I use them in different parts of my life. And then I would read a lot about why things work, why something works in photography, why something works in design. Does the same thing occur in the garden? So this is how I do it, but I don't have like a process that is I could write you about. It's more about the vibe that I feel. I just put two things together and they work, and I always have a vision in my head of how I want things to look like, but I really need to see them in person, put them one next to another. Sometimes something will be off with the colors and I know I will need something to be changed, and it really gets to me when I see things next to one another. So kind of vibe, a lot of learning and a lot of observing, and then I go through my head and something pops out. Do you get help in your garden? I do most of the jobs by myself, but I do get help from time to time. Because of my spine injury, I will get help with like pruning the taller trees, taller hedges. I will get a company that will come and help me. We would do it between two of us, and we know that it's not good for our health, so this is what we get help with. And I will get help with weeding. I don't like doing that. If I can work during that time, I can earn for the person who can do it for me. So I think if you have the funds and you really hate doing something in the garden, I think it's so much better if someone can help you with that. But I really dislike when someone prunes my plants, so I never allowed anyone to do it. I really like doing that by myself, and I really like taking care of my plants. That is really important. But I try, the older I get, I try to understand that some things can be done by someone else, and it's better. But if I feel like the anxiety of someone touching something in my garden, I will just stay, I will be laid back, something can be done a bit later, so that's fine. How much time and work it takes to maintain different parts of your garden, especially throughout each season. So the most intense season is early spring or maybe late winter, depending on what kind of year we have. If we have a very warm February, which happened in the last 2 years, it is very convenient because we can divide the work into February and March. If we have a lot of snow, and we had years like that, so we had snow until the middle of March, a lot of work needed to be accumulated in a very short period of time. Then I go into the garden in the morning and I come back when it's really dark, and it's that is a lot of work. Then it really depends. I try to not do as much at one time because it really, then I can feel it in my bones. So it really depends. It can be in the intense time I can work for 8 hours, and it can be days I don't work at all. But my garden is high maintenance, and if you wish to have a garden like mine, you will have to know that it is not a garden you can leave for 2 weeks and nothing will need to be done. I know that when I will be older, I will need another garden that will be simpler, it will be easier to maintain, and I think I will need a different one. So yeah, there are moments when you really need to work a lot here. Okay, now 2 quick questions. What kind of mulch do you use in spring? I use compost, and I've been using it for several years now in my garden. I can see that the soil is incredible thanks to the adding of compost every year. A lot of people add compost in autumn, and that is probably the better way to do it. But as we have so many old trees around us and I really want those clean borders in spring, I add my compost in spring and it works for me. I don't know if it will work for everyone, but I have been always happy that I started doing that. I've had landscape fabric before and then bark on top of it, and I was having a lot of problems in the garden, so I'm really happy that I switched it, and I still think that I will be using it until the end of time because it really works. What kind of coral plant is on the right of the garden bench? That plant is a rose. It's called Blue Wunder. It's a German rose. I got as I ordered some roses and I got it as an extra. I did not even pay for it, and it didn't have a tag. But I've talked to the breeder and they told me this is the rose, and it's been performing so well for us for the last several years. It is planted in the gravel. There is some soil beneath it. I did not add anything, and this rose loves this space. It doesn't get any extra watering, only that will get from the clouds. So I really love it. The only problem is that it does not have any scent. It is open flowers, small flowers, so it's very good for the pollinators. So it's a beautiful plant. If you're searching for it, Blue Wunder, I'll write it down in the description, the German name, so you can find it. Okay guys, it is getting really dark outside, so I really hope that those questions gave you some kind of understanding of me as a person, of my process in the garden and the creative process. If you have any other questions, I would love to know them, and I would love to know if any of the things I was saying sparked something in you. Maybe you have some thoughts about that. Write them in the comments. I'm always searching for the way people think about those kind of processes and how they think, how they act. It's always fascinating to me, and especially with gardeners, I'm always searching for other points of view, and they are always interesting to me. So if you have a moment, please share in the comments. Okay, thank you so much for being with me. I hope you had a wonderful cup of tea and enjoyed today's video. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, consider subscribing, and we'll see you in the next one. Hopefully I'll be doing some fall decorations. Let me know if you're planning them too.